Kia ora, mai paldo pukia kayungan, morena, or ahi marie, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome. We're currently in my lounge, and this is Breathing Space, my breathing space. And today I am very, very happy to be joined by one of Pat's Proudly Asian Theatre's core team members. We have Alyssa Medel. Hi, Alyssa.
Hey.
For those of you who doesn't know Alyssa Medel, Alyssa is an all-round creative, primarily working in theatre and film, driven at the heart by the power of stories. When she's not hustling in the arts world, she's cooking meals for her family, reading books and films, and consuming anything related to design to nourish her need for aesthetics. How are you feeling today?
Good. It's already after lockdown, so I feel better, but obviously the things are happening still kind of have like a weight, and just trying to kind of deal with it and not always feel like the world is ending.
Totally, you know what you mean. It's so easy to get bogged down, and it's not necessarily just like one weight. It's like a weight on top of a weight on top of a weight. For us to be able to take on more weight, you need to do what you need for your body, your mind, and your body to be able to cope with these things, right? So talking about breathing space, you're an artist. Your voice is so important in terms of your mahi as a Pan-Asian practitioner, as a Filipino practitioner. I want to know, in regards to COVID-19 and the lockdown that's recent, the lockdown that's been forced upon New Zealand to allow the country to heal. Who are you when your practice or your craft is on pause?
I am still trying to practice in the ways that I can while I'm at home. I'm trying to write, and I'm just trying to, the past few months have been a lot of like trying to generate more ideas for myself, while I had the time to develop them at home, before I kind of present those ideas to other people and make them happen. So I've been able to take this time to do that, and I feel really privileged to be able to do that. And I have also still been like doing my responsibilities as a big sister to my brother, and I'm just trying to support my family through this time and kind of making sure that I can do what I can to for the transition to not feel so heavy and stressful for the other people in my bubble, by making sure everyone's fed and taken care of. And I think that's just the least I can do. And I love cooking for my bubble, and so I'm happy to do that as well. And just mixing those, juggling those two sides of it together.
I love that. Such a wholesome person, you know that? Such a wholesome person. In terms of the lockdown and your response to your breathing space and how you're coping as a human being in these times, how was your identity affected by the recent change or the current or the restrictions? Paano naapektuhan ang pagkatao mo during the changes of lockdown?
I think for me, I was before the lockdown. I was already quite an introverted person who was always at home anyway, and because a month or so before lockdown, I had traveled to Asia, and then coming back, although quarantine wasn't legally imposed yet, me and my brother just decided to self-isolate anyway, just for precautions. So when we finished self-isolating after those 2 weeks, then like talks about like social distancing and like imposing social distancing began. And so we kind of just like started, it felt like we were already isolating a month before the actual lockdown. And so it kind of, for me, it felt like a transition that I was, by the time everyone else was forced into lockdown, I was able to kind of adjust to faster than other people because I was already doing it beforehand. And I think in terms of my identity, I've been given a lot of time to really reflect on how I am by myself, and how I feel when I'm alone, and how I just think for myself without having so much external factors and input and that noise around me. And so I've also been able to take more time, because in social media is still like super active during lockdown, and there's just a lot of like, it feels like even more information's coming out, and you're just like, I felt like quite swamped by it. But um I was able to still kind of read that information and digest all these things that were happening because of the lockdown, and how COVID was affecting not just people here in New Zealand, but internationally, and how different governments were responding to it. And it also just kind of like opened my eyes to how I have not really paid attention to those other factors, and I felt really like actually privileged that I lived in a country where I was safe, and that the government was actually thinking about my health, and the health of others around me who aren't whose immune systems aren't the best. So I felt really privileged for that, and I just kind of really talk to myself about what can I do for the other places that I'm not in or feel so distant to me. And that's when I kind of like saw more petitions coming out about in the Philippines, about the lack of action from the government in terms of their response to COVID-19, and like was already in touch with that from the beginning, and just kind of did my quiet ways of helping. And yeah, and just like also in terms of reading more things outside of what the news tells us, and outside of what's current, which I think are also still important, like our history, which I haven't really been doing since I graduated from uni, and just like taking that time to explore that side of knowledge that I haven't really refreshed on, and also just trying to learn more about how I deal with my soul and like my wellness and mental well-being, that I've often neglected in the past as well.
It's necessary to talk about that for impact to occur, it needs to start from us, right? Mm-hmm. And that, you know, any simple way that we can do to nourish ourselves, to acknowledge all of our privileges, to understand why we're advanced, because, you know, like not having the knowledge and knowing, and also the acceptance that we don't know everything, and the willfulness to, you know, be in touch, to understand, to be able to learn, will assist the change. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're saying of, you know, simple acts of signing petitions, sharing the knowledge of those petitions, and, you know, passing the knowledge is important. It's super important. So thank you for doing what you can. That also nourishes your space, and that also looks after yourself. I really respect that. And I just really want to quickly ask, just a bit of a tangent. Tell me about all of these post-it notes behind you.
I'm constantly like inundated with thoughts that I used to like message my best friend like every single time I had like a thought or like a weird idea or something, and then she'd be like, oh cool. And then like I was just subjecting her to those things. But then I started to I'm trying to like try this new method. Well, it's not really new, it's just like new to me, of like writing those thoughts down, because most of them are ideas and things I should like actually think more about and expand on. So I've like, this wall is just all my thoughts, and I've categorized it into politics, arts, news, creative ideas, business. And yeah, I think those are, so I've like categorized it into that, just so that I can like take it out of my head and write it down, and then I can kind of see visually how some thoughts have like doubled up or how they relate to each other. And because I'm a very visual person, so I find that helps me, rather than just like letting everything just like stay there and they're all just like blurry and like just together, but also at the same time very loud. And I think it's been useful, very helpful the past few days as well, because it's just been so much external pressure regarding all fronts of society. And so my thoughts are like times 100. And then this one is for a project I'm trying to develop. They're all color coordinated, but yeah.
I welcome this new method in your life. Thank you for sharing it. I think it is great that the act of writing it down and removing it from your head actually creates more space, right? Or like the willful reflection of what those thoughts are, and being accountable for those thoughts, I think is really important. Thank you so much for sharing how you are, how you're feeling, and your breathing space, physically, mentally, emotionally. And everyone, this is Alyssa Medel. I'm Marianne Infante, and this is Breathing Space. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you.